I love the beach. I don't know about you guys, but I love it. And when it gets hot outside, like summertime, 100, I try to go to the beach at least once a week. And I'm excited to work on my tan. I actually don't really I kind of get more red than anything, but I still like it, just like soaking in the sun. I'm excited for summer nights, because when it's been 100 all day and it's been miserable to be outside at night, it's like 75, but there's no sun. It just feels so good. I drive around with my windows down. I'm excited for summer. How many of you are on summer break? Hey, you made it. Congrats. Some of you graduated. Congrats if you went from 8th grade to 9th grade. I'm proud of you. And for the rest of you who are, you're still working, you got it. Stay strong. And recently, I've found myself saying this phrase a lot. I can't wait for summer. I can't wait for summer. And then I realized I say that all the time, but then I replace summer with something. So it's like, I can't wait for summer, but then it'll be summertime, and then I'm like, I can't wait for it to get cold again. I'm tired of the heat. Or then, it was recently, I can't wait to graduate college, but now it's, I can't wait for what's next to get married. And I just keep replacing it with something. And I think we all say this and do this. I mean, how many of you have said, I can't wait to go from middle school to high school? Raise your hand if you've said that. Or, I can't wait to get my license. Oh yeah, get some freedom. What about, I can't wait, upperclassmen, to graduate high school and be free? Come on, I can't wait. I mean, we all say this, but then what happens? This happens to me every time. I have this thing I'm excited for, but then I get it, and the joy of reaching that moment lasts for like that long compared to the amount of time that I waited to get there. And it's like 3 days for me. I mean, sometimes a week if it was really good. But then after a couple days, a couple weeks, I'm already saying again, oh, now I can't wait for this. Think about it. You say, I can't wait to go to high school when you're in middle school. And for all of us that have been there like a week into the 9th grade, we go, man, school's still pretty lame. Okay, now I just want to graduate. And then you graduate high school and you go to college. I've been there. And then you say in college, okay, I promise you, college is a little more fun. It's still school, so then you go, okay, now I can't wait to graduate college. I just graduated college 2 weeks ago. I already don't really care. Like, it's cool, I did it, but I've moved past it, and I'm already saying again, I can't wait for what's next. And here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of it for my own life. I'm afraid of it for your lives. I'm afraid that if we're not careful, our whole entire lives will be full of us saying, I can't wait to get here. I can't wait to go there. I can't wait to do this. And we're going to pass through beautiful stages. We're going to hurry through beautiful stages of life that we'll never get back. Like middle school and high school. You'll never be in this stage of your life ever again for as long as you're alive. You're never going to get it back. And I'm worried we're going to hurry through it and not take advantage of the time we're in, not enjoy the time that we're in because we'll be so focused on what's next. For me, this happened, I feel like I failed at this with my family, mainly like my sisters, because my last couple years home in high school, like 16, 18, my sisters were still around, still living at home. But rather than enjoy time with them and try to, get to know them better, I was so focused on, getting to college. I was reading like financial books, trying to figure out how to get rich. And I was so focused on what I was going to do next, the freedom I'd have when I got to college, that I didn't really spend time getting to know them. And then I went off to college. And while I was at college, my sisters got married to some random dudes I didn't even know. And then they moved to New Mexico and Arizona, and now I see them like 5 times a year. And we were close. We had a good relationship. But if I could go back to myself at 16 and just talk to 16-year-old Caleb, I'd say, hey, man, every time you see your sisters, give them a hug. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you want to get to know them and be their friend. Every single family dinner, do your best to go to it, because this is the only time in your life where your whole family will be together every day. You're never going to get this again. And I would say enjoy it. Enjoy it. Take advantage of it. Even though it feels like it's slow, even though you feel like you're waiting, take advantage of it. We're continuing our series called Remedy today, where we've been looking at our hearts and problems that we have. And I believe a problem that some of us have is that we're hurried. We're in a hurry to get to the next stage of life. So today, I just want us to think through. Rather than hurry through these stages, how can we enjoy them? And also, how can we learn to grow in these stages to become prepared for the next destination or the next stage of life? Overall, this is my message today in one sentence. It's the first blank on your notes. That's falling by itself. Do you see that? First blank in your notes says, don't be in such a hurry to get to the next stage of your life that you miss the blessings that God has for you in the waiting. Don't be in such a hurry to get to the next stage of your life that you miss the blessings and the beauty and the enjoyment that God has for you right now. And I want to be clear, because I don't want you to think, oh, okay, only live in the moment. Don't ever think ahead. I'm not saying don't think ahead. You should think ahead. You should have goals. You should be excited about the future. Have you heard that quote? It's all about the journey, not the destination. You guys heard that? I don't like that quote at all, because they swing from one extreme to the other. They're like, because a lot of us are like, I want to get here, I want to get here. Then that person goes, no, it's all about the journey. No, it's about both of them. Like, I'm excited for the journey. I want to get married one day. I want to have a honeymoon one day. I'm excited for some destinations, but I understand that there are long, long journeys before you get to those destinations. And the majority of your life is going to be spent not at a destination, but waiting for a destination. I remember being in line at Disneyland with Rick Kyle. He's like my second dad. And he said, Caleb, we've been waiting in this line for 2 hours to go on a ride that's 5 minutes long. He said, you know how crazy that is? If you can't enjoy the line, you miss out on 95% of what Disneyland is all about. I said, oh, that's interesting. Then he kept going. I'll never forget what he said next. He said, Caleb, life is a lot like this line. We keep waiting for the next big thing, and we wait forever, and then we get there, and it takes 5 minutes, and then we get back into another line. And he said, Caleb, if you can enjoy the line of life, you'll miss out on 95% of what life is all about. Second note, 95% of your life is spent in the waiting line. I believe roughly 5% of your life will be spent at the actual destinations, but God has blessings for you in the waiting. How many of you watch The Office? Yes. Just like I was afraid last night that nobody would, but you do. So at the end of The Office, there's like 9 seasons long. Andy Bernard, one of the characters, is looking back on all the time they spent together, and he says this. He says, I wish there was a way to know that you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've actually left them. And this quote gets me every time because I think back to being a kid. Like, do you remember being 5 years old? How good was that? Like, there was no responsibility. You're taking naps all day. You're just having fun. But when I was 5, I wanted to be in middle school. And then when I was middle school, I wanted to be in high school. High school, I wanted to be here. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, those were really good times. And I bet one day I'll look back on where I am right now as like single, unmarried, starting off my career, and I want to go to the next stage, but I bet one day I'll look back and I'll go, man, those were good times. And it makes me think maybe all of our days, throughout the ups and downs, are the good old days. Maybe there are times to enjoy in every stage of life. The waiting can be good. The waiting is to be enjoyed. And since so much of our life is spent waiting, I believe if we can learn to wait well, then we can learn to live well. And the best place to learn how to wait is God's word. So I want to share a couple stories with you. I'm not going to read them. I'm just going to share them. Because multiple times, God seems to give people a vision of where he wants to take them, and then he makes them wait. Like, there are so many stories, I didn't even know which ones to pick, but I have two. Joseph. You guys heard of Joseph before? So Joseph, if you haven't heard of him, he has this dream. He's in the Old Testament, Genesis. He has this dream that he's going to be a ruler one day and that people will be bowing down to him and he'll have all this authority. And so he goes out at 17 years old, as old as some of you, and he tells his brothers, hey, this is what's going to happen. You're going to bow down to me one day. And they go, you're crazy. And they get all mad. So they actually throw him into a pit and sell him into slavery, some bad brothers. And he goes into slavery for 11 years after having this dream. And while he's in slavery, his master's wife, she gets a crush on him. She's like, ooh, Joseph's fine. So she tries to make a move on him. He runs away. She pulls off his cloak. And so she takes his cloak and says to her husband, Joseph, he tried to make a move on me. And she falsely accuses him. And he goes to prison for 2 years. The whole time he's doing God's will. He's waiting. He had this vision. And after 13 years, from 17 years old, he waited till 30 years old until that dream came true. God just seems to make people wait. There was a guy named Abraham, one more story. A guy named Abraham in the Old Testament. His name used to be Abram. At 75 years old, God said, Abram, your name is no longer Abram, it's Abraham, which means father of many nations. He had no kids at 75, but God said, you're going to have a kid. I don't know if you know that. 75 is old to have a kid. That's old. But he says, you're going to have kids, be the father of many nations. Abraham's like, all right, cool. It was good to have kids back then. God makes Abraham wait 25 more years to have a kid with the name Father of Nations. He has to go 25 years, being 100 years old as Father of Nations, waiting to have a kid. And finally, at 100 years old, he does. God seems to make people wait. If you're waiting, it's normal. If you're waiting, you're not alone. I think God gives us the waiting as a gift to enjoy. It's most of our lives, 95%. But I also believe he gives us the waiting as a time to get our character and our heart and our mind to where it needs to be, and our relationship with him to where it needs to be, to get to the destinations that we want to go. Life is like a line. 95% of it is spent waiting for the next big thing. So if we can learn how to wait well, we can learn how to live well. So here's 2 questions I have about the waiting. What should we know about the waiting? And what should we do in the waiting? And I have a verse, Psalm 52, verse 9. It's in your outlines, that I believe gives us some good insight into both of those questions. Psalm 52, verse 9. Read this with me. It says, I will thank you forever. The psalmist is talking to God. I will thank you forever, God, because you have done it. And I will wait for your name, for it is good. God, your name is good. I will wait for it in the presence of the godly. I will thank you forever because you have done it, God. And I will wait for your name, for it is good in the presence of the godly. First point, what should we do in the waiting? And what should we know in the waiting, and what should we do? What we should know is that waiting is a time to enjoy. And what we should do is be thankful. Waiting is a time to enjoy by being thankful. I will thank you forever because you have done it. We should thank God for what he's already done in our lives, what he's already taken us through. Think about when you're at Disneyland. Who are you usually in line with? Family, friends, people that you love and care about? Waiting usually happens in the presence of people that you love and people that you want to be with. God has given you these people to wait with. You get to wait with these people. Who has God given you? Has God given you a good mom and dad? Thank him for it. Has God given you brothers and sisters that you love? Maybe you didn't have a great family. Has he given you a best friend or a best friend's family or family that's adopted you in as their own? Has God given that to you? Given you these people to wait with? Has God given you a good church family? A church, he gave me one. I love this church. They're like my family. They've taken me in. I never had extended family, but I had family here at church. I'm thankful for that. These are the people I got to wait with. There's nothing good about the line. The line is boring. But when you're with people you love, it changes everything. Then I love the line. Now I want to wait in line all day because I'm with people that I love. Thank God for what he's done by putting these people in your life. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you're thankful for them. You get to wait with these people. Also, you've lived long enough that you've had to wait for a couple things now, probably a lot of things. God has taken you through some long lines and some crazy rides. And this verse says, God, we thank you because you've done it. What has God done for you? What has God taken you through? Has God gotten you through anxious moments? Has God gotten you through moments where you're so low and so depressed that you didn't know if you would make it, and you're still here, you're still standing? Has God gotten you through the hardest moments of your life? Moments where maybe your family was falling apart. Moments where maybe you had a relationship with someone and they gave you a lot of meaning and then it ended and you kind of didn't know what to do. Did God get you through that? Thank God because he's done it. Thank God because you're still standing. You're still here. You're still going strong because God has led you through those times. Has God always been there for you and loved you? Thank him for it. And I want to promise you, God will continue to be there for you. He will continue to love him. So thank him. Thank him. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, give thanks in all circumstances, no matter what you're going through, no matter you should be thanking God right now that you get to sit here, and if you're bored, thank him for being bored. It doesn't matter. Thank him in all circumstances. It says that 1 Thessalonians 5:18, for this is God's will for you. This is God's will. I don't know what God wants me to do. Should I go? Thank him. Thank him in all circumstances. This is God's will for your life. Colossians 3:17, and whatever you do, whatever. I don't care where you go to college. I don't care what job you do. Whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. By being thankful for who God has allowed us to wait with and what God has taken us through, we find joy in the waiting. God says his will for your life is to be thankful. Everything you do, everything you do should be done in thankfulness. Why? Because thankfulness is a fundamental tool to enjoying the wait. And the wait is 95% of your life. Do you want to enjoy 95% of your life? I do. Then be thankful. Be thankful for what God has done. Be thankful that God has done it and will continue to do it. Second point from this verse. Waiting is a time to prepare by imitation of godly people. Waiting is a time to prepare by imitation of godly people. I will thank you forever because you've done it. And I will wait for your name, for it is good, in the presence of godly people. Have you ever noticed that when you spend enough time with someone, you just naturally start to do what they do? Like I noticed this with Corey Halloran. He was my roommate, and I love the dude, but he'd do these things that annoyed me so much, but I lived with him. So then I would catch myself doing those same exact things, and I was like, oh no, but it's just what happens. You hang out with people, you start to imitate them. Part of preparing well and waiting well is finding godly people who've been to the destination that you want to get to, whether it's marriage, whether it's being a boss one day, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Whether it's we should all want to be with people who have a great relationship with God. Because just by being in their presence, we start to imitate them. And by imitating them, we naturally become prepared to reach that next destination. Paul says in Philippians 4:9, whatever you've learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. And the God of peace will be with you. 1 Corinthians 11:1, he says, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. Paul's saying, imitate me. Do what I do. Because by imitating others who've been there, you get prepared to reach that same destination. Maybe some of you think that you've been waiting on God, but God has actually been waiting on you. Maybe God is waiting for you to get prepared for the next destination before he opens up that opportunity for you. Maybe God is leaving you in the waiting so that your heart and your mind have time to be ready. And maybe he's giving you this time to imitate godly people because, trust me, you don't want to get an opportunity in your life only to realize that you don't have the character and the skills to do that job well. Because if you reach a destination you're not prepared for, your life will start to fall apart. Maybe God is blessing you and protecting you and loving you by keeping you in the line. You keep getting to the end of the line and you're being told, sorry, not tall enough. You got to wait a couple more years because God knows your heart needs a little more preparing. And I keep saying maybe because I want you to know, I just want to give you that thought so you can think about it. I just want you to think about it. I'm not saying it's all of you. The line is a time to grow in character by imitating godly people. God gives us the line to get prepared for the next destination. So do you have someone that you can imitate? Who can prepare your heart and your mind for the next destination that you want to reach? Waiting time is not wasted time. Waiting time is not wasted time. The majority of your life is spent in the line, 95% of it. So if you can learn to wait well, you can learn to live well. God has given us the waiting line to enjoy and to grow. You enjoy the line by being thankful for the people that you're in line with, and you grow in the line by imitating godly people. Let me say it one more time. Don't be in such a hurry to get to the next stage of your life that you miss out on the blessings that God has for you in the waiting. I want to end by encouraging you, when you get out of service today and when you see your mom or dad or your brothers and sisters, just hug them a little longer. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you want to get to know them better, because this is the only time in your life where your whole family is going to be together, where you're going to have this kind of time to get to know your family and love your family. Practice it, being thankful for these people and enjoying the line by enjoying the people you get to live life with. And then find someone you look up to and ask them if you can hang out. Just get to know them. Find somebody a godly person who's been where you want to go, so that you can naturally imitate them and naturally you won't be fully prepared, but you'll be prepared enough. So find someone to imitate. Life is a line. Enjoy the line. Grow in the line. Pray with me. God, thank you so much for giving us life, for giving us the boring times of life, for giving us the slow times of life, because they're times to be enjoyed, and they're times that have a purpose. God, help us to see that. Thank you for loving us, God. Thank you for always being there for us. Amen.